He was such a jerk, and he was creepy. Oh my God, is he creepy? Hello, my YouTube people. How you doing today? Everything is all good here. I am popping in this video to talk about unbearable bosses. I'm sure we all can relate to that in one way, shape, or another. We've all had unbearable bosses. I remember my first unbearable boss. I was 14 working at Met Food. I was a cashier, you know, and I got fired. I got fired because I was at the register. It was Sunday, nobody there, and I was kind of like leaning on the counter a little bit. So in comes the boss, the owner of the supermarket, you know, and he immediately goes, "You." And I'm like, "Me?" I'm like, "Yes." He was like, "Stop leaning on the register or else." Now, little thing about me, I've always been a match. What is a match? You don't strike the match, you won't get burned, right? So I return energy, I match energy. So I didn't say anything. Okay, fine, you know. Everybody was like, ooh. Especially the office or the supermarket manager who sat up in her perch, you know, judging everybody, thinks she was just, you know, hot crap, and abusing everybody else just because she sat up in the little cardboard box, you know. I don't know what she did up in there. Anyway, she sat up there. She told everybody what to do. But my leg caught a cramp, right? So I went to go, you know, massage my leg. Here he comes again. Because I guess it looked like I was leaning. Maybe I was leaning because I caught a cramp. And mind you, now like there's people in the supermarket, but there's nobody in my line, right? So he says, "You get over here." I'm like, "Look at me," you know. So I go over there. He was like, "Either you do." I said, "Look, let me stop you right here." I said, Met Food is not my career. I'm not gonna work here for the rest of my life. So chill out. It's not that serious. You know, he was like, "Oh, you need to get out." I was like, "Yeah, whatever, I don't care." And I walked out. I was like, "Bye, suckers," and walked out of there like 14 or 15 years old. So that was my first experience with a horrible boss. My mother always told me, "You don't have to take crap from anybody. I don't care who it is." So that always stuck with me, you know. Whenever I was about to change jobs and I needed justification, I always call my mom, you know, and she'd be like, "You don't have to take that, walk out." So yeah, sometimes that worked. Sometimes, you know, it kind of like backfired in my face because then I was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" I was impulsive. But you know, for the most part, it turned out good. It gave me, you know, a huge boost in confidence, you know. So thank you, mommy. Mwah. So we heard about Luann in my last video, right? Luann the Fraggle. Yeah, we heard about her. So, but she wasn't abusive. She was just a mean girl. You know, there is a difference between just being catty and petty and a mean girl and being abusive, you know. But still, that was, you know, another not so nice boss. We go, I'm like reading from my book. We go to the story of, let's call him, what's a good name for this guy?
Derek.
Is that Derek a good name?
Yeah,
Such
Derek.
A jerk name? Is that a jerk name?
Yeah, like Derek from Step Brothers.
Like Derek from Step Brothers. Okay, yeah. So, thanks, Lexi. So, I used to work with this guy. He was a salesperson and I was a designer. So we used to work in one showroom, again in the Manhattan Mall, not the same company, but in there. So he decided one day that he was going to quit and start another company and asked me if I wanted to go with him, you know. And I was like, okay, and I'll go, whatever, he's gonna pay me more money. So I went. You know where the office was that he opened? Right, literally the next door over for my old job. Awkward. anyway, so I was like, this is where our office is? And I was like, okay, fine. But this guy, and it was a beautiful showroom, but turns out that he wasn't even the boss of the owner. The boss and the owner was the guy that we went to LA with that didn't want us to get the coffee. He's like my brother. That's who the owner was. But he was, this guy, Derek, was such a jerk. And he had such delusions of grandeur. You know, he was abusive. You know, it wasn't like physical abuse or anything like that, but he did like really petty things. Like one day I remember my mom got sick. I went to the hospital, you know, with her, and I had to take a couple of days off. The next day or the next week, it was close, my dad gets sick. So I had to go to the hospital with him, and that was like another day. Literally the next day I get a letter to go to jury duty. I said, oh my God, what's happening? You know, and I'm the only one there to kind of like do things. I always tend to be the only designer like working or whatever, I guess, because I can handle a lot. So anyway, I go to him and I'm like, look, Derek, I have this letter for jury duty. And he looks at me from behind the desk and he goes, you know what? I think you're lying. And I said, lying? He goes, first your mother gets sick, then your father gets sick. Now you have jury duty? And I'm like, yeah, here's the paper. Like, I literally have the paper in my hand. Well, I think you're lying. I said, look, Derek, I wanted to tell you why I'm not lying. Lying is based on fear. And I don't fear you. You know why I don't fear you? I said, because I have 225 pounds of man waiting to come kick the crap out of you at my disposal. How's that? He was like, what did you say? And I repeated it to him. You know why I said that? Because he deserved to be a little shook. He deserved to understand that there were consequences to being a bully and being abusive. And he met the wrong one that day. That happened to be me. You know, then you know what? I came like the next couple of days and quit. Told you, I'm infamous for doing that. If I didn't feel the love, I was out. I was out. The bigger boss, the owner, was like, oh no, you know, I really like having you here. You know, I said, you know, he says, oh, you can always call me. I'll call you if I have anything else. I really hate to see you go. But that was the beginning of like almost a 30-year relationship with him. So, you know, that's why things happen. You know, this is why we met. This is what happened. This is why, you know, we go through these things, and that ended up being a good story. What happened to Derek? I think he's like, he moved to like Iowa or something that's like selling fish in a fish store. I don't know what happened to him, but he's out of here. He tried to creep back into my Facebook, and I was like, ew, no. He tried to creep back into my boss's Facebook too, and he was like, ew, no. So bye, Derek. Derek was abusive, right? But I've encountered other bosses and other managers who, let's say, they were not suited for the job. They were like managers. Two of the girls that they decided to put over myself and my friend were definitely not equipped to handle this job. So, you know, the projects kept piling in, and they were just lost and in a tizzy and stressed and nervous. You know, one day my friend and I were gonna go to lunch, and we go into the bathroom, and these girls are in there bawling. I was like, there's no crying in fashion. There's no crying in fashion. There's no crying in fashion. What are you doing? What's wrong? Who died? You know, they were like, we can't handle this. We can't handle this. Handle what? Delicately? Because you guys aren't physically working. It's me and my friend doing all the work. Like, what can't you handle? I said, give me that paper. I said, this is what you do. You set this, you set this, you set this, you rearrange this here, you make this the due date, and you're done. Oh my God, what would we do without you? Oh my God, how many times does this happen? How many times does this have to happen to us in the industry where they put people that are not qualified over us so we could teach them how to do their jobs? I don't get it. You know, go figure. Maybe, you know, I don't know. Who knows? So that position was didn't last very long for those two. Then, you know, they brought in somebody else. But by that time what did I do? I had gone because I was not for the mess. So anyway, don't know what happened there. Never saw those two ever again. I don't know if they're in the industry, but whatever. More power to you. I hope you got a thicker skin. Oh, this is a good one. I ended up going to work for a new company, a startup company, who really wasn't a startup because they had a company before, but they had bought another company or whatever. They bought into another company, you know. So I went to go work there. One of the owners was nervous and brought all of the nervous energy in wherever he came. He was like a spastic nerve bag or something. He made me so uncomfortable that I could not be around him for more than like 3 minutes at a time. This man was literally the anxiety character from that movie Inside Out. Yeah, that's him. That's him. Nervous energy wherever you go, I'm telling you. I mean, he was a nice guy, but so nervous that it actually put the battery on my back. And not too many things make me nervous, but this guy made me crazy. But anyway, the other guy who sorry, you guys ever see that movie Weird Science where that character Chet, he was really a jerk and she turned him into this? Yeah, well, that was him. With his tight sweaters. He used to come in and he used to think that he was God's gift. But he was such a jerk. He used to, you know, obviously, you know, I'm Puerto Rican, right? I'm Latina. He used to come in and try to talk Spanish to me. And I'm like, I speak English. I used to answer him in English. I don't like when people like see a Spanish person or Latina and try to talk Spanish to them when it's not their native language. Chill out. Okay, you're okay with Spanish people, whatever. That really shows that, you know, maybe not, but anyway, I don't like it. It's condescending and I just don't like it. Talk to me in English. Talk to me the way I address you. If I address you in Spanish, then fine, you can address me in Spanish. But if you're not a Spanish person, don't come up to a Spanish person and say, hola, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? Because it's not cute. It's not, it's just not a cute look. So one day there was a mistake on the packaging, you know, and it was something that the brand people, the licensor, wanted, you know. So we don't have any jurisdiction to change things like that when it's coming from a brand person. You know, if it's their brand or their license, we have to use what they give us, right? It's in the contracts. So he comes up to me and he's like, why is this written wrong? And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, this is, I said, this came from the licensor. He was like, do you speak English? I was like, I speak English. Do you speak English? He was like, I went to college. I said, did you? I said, so did I. So what else? What else you got? What else you got? What are you trying to say? I was going to write a note to him that spelled his name wrong and then say I quat instead of I quit, just to be funny, you know. But he was such a jerk, and he was creepy. Oh my God, was he creepy. He used, well, one time I had a young designer and she came up to me and she was like shaking. She was really beautiful. And she says, oh my God, I got a FaceTime call at like 1 a.m. from this number and this name. And it was his name. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, he called me at like 1 a.m. FaceTime call. Like, I'm scared. And I'm like, I said, something's wrong, you know, whatever. So I go into his office. I'm like, what are you doing? FaceTiming this girl at 1 a.m. I said, you know what? I don't even want to know. I said, but just creeping her out, I suggest you don't do that anymore. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I must have been hacked. Yeah, hacked, all right. You know, get it together and don't be such a, you know what. No. So I think after that incident, he didn't like me anymore. I definitely called you out on your stuff, especially being a, you know, self-appointed advocate for a young girl. I told you I like to look out for the young girls in the workplace. I'm like the mother. So they found themselves saying, well, we're going to, at this particular job, I was the design director, so they were going to hire a VP. And I said, okay, you know, whatever. I heard rumblings because you know, they were so secretive, and they hired the VP, which was a friend of somebody that worked there. So my two designers that I had working, they said, oh my God, what are you gonna do? And I said, I'm not gonna do anything. They're gonna hire the VP to elevate the division, then you know, that's fine. Again, not a hater, you know, not a hater, just know what I'm doing. So in comes said VP. She looks the part, you know, another Latina. I'm not gonna hate on her. She looks the part, you know, and I guess they gave her a brief on me and what I was like, and you know, they just gave her a brief on me. So I'm a very strong designer, and I can handle a lot, and I don't buckle under pressure, and I don't have clear direction on who my customer is, who I'm designing for, and I pretty much nail the projects from inception, right? And that's experience. It's just experience. So she comes in and she decides that she's going to have me just do changing numbers on a catalog sheet instead of like handling big projects that I normally handle, and you know, divvy it out to my girls. So she's gonna bypass me and go directly to the two designers, and they're looking at me and they're like, what do we do? And I'm like, ask your boss. So she in turn turns to me and says, oh, may I ask you a question? And I said, sure, you can ask me a question. How do you handle this? What? What do you mean, how do I handle it? Aren't you the VP? So she goes, oh no, I just want to know. Says, you know what? They brought you in to elevate the division. So obviously I don't think that they want my input or my direction, where, you know, you came here so we can learn from you. So I think we should do it the way you want us to. Did this chick think I was stupid? Obviously, she doesn't know what she's doing. I did a little research on her, right? Turns out she was not a VP. She wasn't even a director. She was a designer, handling one thing, not a division, one thing for a very small store. So I said, oh, we're gonna have a good time here. So I told my girls, don't ask me. If she's not giving it out to me, I'm not gonna step on her toes. I'm not gonna step on her toes. Don't ask me. I'm not gonna help you. You have to ask your boss. So instead of picking up on the fact that I wasn't gonna help her, right? She still kept me on doing numbers. Now that's like, how do I put this? Who's a famous baseball player? Let's say Derek Jeter. It's like having him give the bats, having him be the bat boy, or to clean up after the baseball players. That's pretty much the equivalent. Yeah, I was the bat boy. Okay, so there was a big project coming up. She calls in sick. There's no sense of urgency here. What's going on? The girls are like, I don't know what to do. I said, well, I can't tell you what to do. She didn't brief me on the project. So you guys are gonna have to call her. You know, no answer. How do you have a big project coming up in like 2 days and not answering. So they're panicking. I'm like, well, don't panic. I said, email her and do whatever it is that you have to do. But anyway, she fumbled the ball. That was fumbled the bag. I had to do the project in like a day, a night, that I did it overnight because they begged me to, right? So, but before that, before this one said project, I noticed and I picked up that this was going to be a disaster. I said, I have some vacation time. I think I'm going to put in for my vacation. So I put in for a week's vacation. I knew the project, I knew there was a special project coming up. She wasn't going to put me on it anyway. So I said, well, I'll just go take vacation and come back and fill the numbers in the way she wants me to, right? So I handed her the paper already signed by upper management. I said, so I'm going on vacation. She goes, oh, you are? And you see her turn white like a ghost. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going on vacation. And she was like, oh, can I have your number? I says, well, I'll give you my number, but don't call me. I said, oh, I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding. I said, don't call me. I'm going on vacation, and that's what that means. I'm not going to be anywhere that I could be reached. I was going to be at my house. I took the vacation on purpose. But anyway, that's what happened. A total disaster. My girls were calling me on the side. Oh my God, this lady is crazy. She's a disaster. I said, no, that's your boss. They were going around introducing this lady. This is the new VP. This is the new VP. This is the new VP. I'm like, this is the new VP. Don't know. They don't know. Anyway, she fumbled the bag on that one. I saved the day. I didn't get any credit for it, of course, because by now they all had egg on their face. But how does that crow taste? Chut. Anyway, that was that. They ended up firing her later, and then like kind of like please begging me to take that position. So I ended up becoming the VP of design. Sometimes you gotta take the long way, you know, to get what you want. Sometimes you gotta make a whole lot of people feel stupid. But anyway, that's the story of her, which leads to the person that took her place, which was not kind of like the VP of design, but the VP of the company. This guy was not stable. And I don't want to see the CR word, but he's not stable. He was not stable. But I was nice to him. I was nice to him. And I saw that he would just like twitch and kind of like freak out. And I'm like, what's the matter with you? He was like, I didn't take my meds and I'm about to freak out. I said, you know, calm down. Easy does it, Giphy. Calm down. I said, I don't care if you jump up and down, turn around 3 times, roll around the floor, and throw yourself out of the window. You're not gonna move me. So you're gonna have to calm down when you address me and when you speak to me, because I don't think that I deal well with things like that. But this guy like lost his mind. I didn't think that he liked women, or, you know, he had a problem with every strong woman that worked at the company. And one day he came in asking me about some email. He came into my office asking me, I was in there by myself, asking about email. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, you did this on purpose. You're gaslighting me. And I was like, what's gaslighting? Like, I will make you explain to me exactly what it is that you're accusing me of. Not because I don't know the answer to the question, or not because I don't know what it means, but because at that point you're trying to make me feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to make you feel as uncomfortable as you're trying to make me. So if you're accusing me of something, you better damn well be ready to explain what it is or why it is that you're accusing me. Okay? So he got really mad. He was like, I'm gonna leave before I start to get mad. I'm like, okay, right. So he walked out. Next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. Boxes are being thrown against my wall. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's throwing boxes? Is this guy really trying to intimidate me into thinking that he's gonna physically hurt me? Oh, you got the wrong one. You got the wrong one. I said, okay, hello, HR? Are you in the room? This and this and this is happening. This guy's throwing boxes. I'm feeling very, very uncomfortable. Could you please come and handle the situation? He comes and he says, oh, why Quan, you should have just asked me. I'm not asking you because you're unstable. I said, at this point, you're gonna make me feel like I'm going to have to defend myself. So that I quit. I wasn't staying there. I quit and I went somewhere else. Like, notorious for doing that. I didn't feel like this was a safe environment, you know, which leads me to what I'm going to talk about next. I get tired of hearing stories, especially from young girls, because, you know, OGs like us know how to handle ourselves in these kinds of situations. You know, we're experienced enough to know what to do and what not to tolerate, you know. But for girls and for people who aren't strong enough or aren't, you know, confident enough and get scared into being bullied by their bosses, I created this. It's called Dear HR. What is it? It's a journal, a work journal that documents your day-to-day when you are in a position that you're being abused, taken advantage of, and you really don't feel right with the things that are happening against you at work. It's for your protection. It's for everybody's protection. You know, I think everybody should have this. You know, writing it on scraggled notes does nothing when you kind of have to protect yourself and present it in front of a court of law. You know, just in case you have to. You know, it's a tidy book. It's a tidy place for you to keep all your notes, you know, all the events that happen, all the turn of events that happen, and it's for your protection. You know, I got tired of people, young people, all kind of people being victimized, men and women, in the workplace when they don't think that they have a strong enough voice to make a difference. You know, if you complain, you're gonna get fired. If you're, you know, if they're doing this to you, you know, you're gonna have backlash, or, you know, people are going to, you know, come after you because you're telling on them. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to be an advocate for yourself. And if you aren't vocal about it, if you're not ready to be vocal about it, write about it. Write every day in the journal what happens to you, who is involved, so that you have documented facts and you could be protected should something happen. Should you go and they fire you unfairly, you have this book. You have this track record of the treatment that you're receiving, of the unfair treatment that you're receiving. So, you know, guys, check it out if that's something that interests you. But I created that because I was really saddened to hear all of the horror stories on all of the bosses that are abusive and take advantage of employees. And it's not right. It's not fair. You know, always remember, you know, if you take away the boss persona, say you have a guy boss, right? And you take away his persona of being the boss and you pass him in the street, who is it? It's just a guy in the street. You're not going to tolerate abuse and banter from just a guy in the street, right? So always try to take them away from their position of power and put yourself on the same playing field. Level the playing field and you'll feel a lot more confident for standing up to yourself. And I hope this helps you. So, you know, I always have to read something from There's No Crying in Fashion, because I created this just for you, just for these type of situations. And it's not just fashion, you can apply it for everything. So this one says, stop wishing, start doing. Stop wishing you could get another job. Stop wishing things would be different. Stop wishing you could stand up for yourself. Start doing. Do look for that other job. Do change your circumstances and do stand up for yourself. Okay? Please like, please subscribe. I love you guys. And until the next one.